Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, November 14, 2019. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The SVG Diabetes and Hypertension Association today hosted its 5th symposium in commemoration of World Diabetes Day, observed under the theme The Family and Diabetes, with the tagline Diabetes Protect Your Family. The aim of today's symposium was to raise awareness on the impact diabetes have on the family and the role the family plays in the management, care, and prevention of this non-communicable disease. In her remarks at the opening ceremony of the symposium, President of the SVG Diabetes and Hypertension Association, Rosita King, defined diabetes as a serious, chronic, and costly disease which imposes lifelong demands on the person living with the condition and their family. She said that in the region there are more than 19 million persons living with diabetes, and if something is not done to prevent or educate people on diabetes, the figure will continue to increase.
An estimated 463 million adults, that's in the world, aged between 20 and 79 years are currently living with diabetes. This represents 9.3% of the world's population in this age group. The total number is predicted to rise to 578 million, which is 10.2% by 2030, and to 700 million, which is 10.9% by 2045. The estimated number of adults aged 20 to 79 with impaired, those are persons with impaired glucose tolerance, is 374 million, 7.5% of the world population, and it is predicted to rise by 454 million, which is 8.0% by 2030.
King said that everyone should take their health very seriously and do all they can from becoming a diabetic, noting that diabetes is responsible for many deaths in SVG.
Diabetes will cause that in 2019, 3 out of 4 deaths was due to diabetes, and those persons were under 60 years. Again, this year we will have about 3 to 4 persons dying due to diabetes, and they will be under the age of 60. 1 in 9 live births are affected by hypoglycemia in pregnancy. So if you notice, the figures are high, and if you ask about St. Vincent, I remember hearing Dr. Ned say we have about 1 in 9, and which means that it's every out of 9 persons we have persons with diabetes. And I am asking all of us here to live a healthy life, and to do that, simple things we can do: regular exercise, limit your alcohol, healthy diet, take your life and your health seriously.
The president of the Diabetes and Hypertension Association said it is important that persons living with diabetes get full support from their family.
Assist. And one of the roles I really want to say this morning is the role to assist with foot care. Because we recognize that in our country we have too many persons who have amputation. It's either a toe, all the toes, or a limb, or more than one. So we want to decrease amputation in our populations in Vincent and the Grenadines. You have heard the foot health practitioner, and she will speak about it later today. So one of your roles is to assist to make sure that those feet are inspected every day. You can assist by doing it for them, or you can assist by holding the mirror. But your part is to make sure not only the feet taking their medication, making sure they have the meal. So that is why we invite the family to be here, so that they will have the knowledge to go home to assist with the care.
In other news, the 26th meeting of the Council of Ministers of CARIFORUM opened here today and broadcast to member states via video conference. SVG assumed chairmanship of CARIFORUM in June this year. As chair of CARIFORUM, SVG is required to host the meeting attended by Director of CARIFORUM and his delegation. Speaking at the opening ceremony today, Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar said that the conference will address important issues requiring urgent attention, such as Brexit, a member state readiness to implement the CARIFORUM UK agreement, and negotiations on the ACP-EU agreement, and more.
Ministers will receive and discuss the reports on each agenda item and take the required decisions to give guidance on specific issues. I humbly submit that we remain focused and strategic in our approach as we discuss this agenda before us, and we prepare to engage with our partners both in the region and in Europe. The CARIFORUM EU EPA forms the basis of a mature relationship between the two sides, encompassing a trading regime which is not only geared towards trade in goods, but also trade in services, investment, trade-related issues, and development cooperation. As we go into the discussion of the substantive agenda items, I wish to reiterate my call for us to work expeditiously to ensure that the discussions are meaningful and results-oriented.
The Christian community turned out in their numbers today to give support to a march and rally hosted by a group of churches under the umbrella Christian Coalition SVG to highlight national issues of social and moral concern, including the challenge to the country's anti-buggery laws. Larissa Pogsy-Kidd tells us more in this report.
See, when you love somebody, you will tell them the truth. And this evening, we're not here to fight against flesh and blood, because this is a spiritual war we are engaged in.
In the essence of this challenge, we are calling upon to call a wrong right, and to call what is wrong permissible and allowable in the guise of human rights.
Pastor Frederick Brown and Mandela Peters speaking at a rally held at Heritage Square following a march around capital Kingstown, which drew a large crowd. The march and rally was hosted by the Christian Coalition SVG, a group member made up of several churches. They were out in the numbers highlighting what they say are national issues of social and moral concerns under the theme, A Call to Righteousness, Calling Our Nation Back to God. One of the issues being highlighted is the current court challenge to SVG's anti-buggery laws. Before making their way to Heritage Square for the rally, those in the march who were decked out in white gathered in front of the courthouse building where prayers were offered. Peters, who is a lawyer and a member of the Christian Coalition, strongly believes that the buggery laws in SVG should remain unchanged.
Research properly, but when our criminal code was enacted in 1988, we would have been an independent nation since 1979. England would have repealed their buggery laws already in 1967. Yet the independent Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines chose to let buggery remain on our law books. I believe it is because they saw that this was a moral law, this was a righteous law, this is a health law. But now moves are being made to strike these laws down from our law books.
She highlighted the dangers of buggery and the health risks involved.
Buggery is anal penetration, and God did not design the rectum for sexual intercourse. Even if you put the Bible aside, look at our bodies, look at our anatomy, look at our physiology. Nature itself tells you that the rectum was not designed for sexual intercourse.
The lawyer focused on the love for people, noting that being candid about the issue should not be deemed as hate.
Just talking about rights and rights, but we need to get down to the very act, the very behavior that is unhealthy, it's dangerous, it's immoral, and should not be promoted at all. But some would want to say that what I'm saying is hate speech. But it's not hate, it's love. Because I'm telling you the truth.
Prayers at the rally were also offered up by Monsignor Michael Stewart, Stephen Oliver, and Pastor Adolph Davis.
May Christian families recommit themselves today to consciously embed gospel values in the lives of their children.
And so the church must understand it's time to evangelize. Oh, the days for sitting down and keeping quiet, it has gone.
The legal team who are representing the Christian Coalition in the court challenge were also prayed for. A number of persons who participated in today's march and rally say they were happy to be part of the event.
For our nation, I stand here for my children's children. I have 4 children, and I'm not just standing here for them, but I'm standing for their children's children.
I knew what is going on. I know the consequences. I knew exactly what is going on in our country. And we're trying to be on fire for God.
Because we have to really secure our young people. This is not just about the older adults. This is about the young people and the future of the young and the children. And so I'm here to fight for our young people and the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Very important. God is in control and we have to stand for righteousness. Amen.
For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
At the rally, Pastor Adolph Davis of the Methodist Church said the family in SVG is under attack, hence the number of problems in the society. He said that God created family and its foundation has been shaken, especially now with the LGBTQ community.
It has been shaken because of several things, but one of them I have to highlight is the LGBTQIA+ agenda. No, that's a serious thing, you know. It is an attack on the family, my brothers and sisters, when you give permission to same-sex relationships. It is an attack on the family when you teach our children that you could have 2 daddy and 2 mommy. What kind of craziness is that? It is an attack on the family when you watch our innocent children, boys and girls, and you watch the boy and say, now because your body looks so mean, you're a boy, you know, you might very well be a girl. It is an attack on the family when we deliberately sabotage the principles of procreation. You have 2 men, you know they can't make children. They just have to borrow other people's child. 2 women can't make children.
Reverend Davis also addressed the issue of negligent parents whom he said seem not to care about the welfare of their children. He also touched on domestic violence and abuse.
Back on the family when the woman wouldn't leave the married man alone. I didn't hear amen for that. It is an attack on the family when mommy and daddy can't get over themselves for the good of the children. And so you got so much stories where mommy and daddy fight one another and cuss one another. It's wrong. It's an attack on the family when we encourage daddy for go drink and behave stupid and go slap up mommy. It's wrong. It is an attack on the family when mommy slapping up daddy too. It's an attack on the family when we have we children and them go for they by mommy, then go over by daddy, then go back by mommy, then go by granny, then come back by daddy. That's not right. That is not how God intended for it to be, by strangers. In fact, hear me well, hear me well. It is an attack on the family when our children's primary babysitter is a tablet, TV, or cell phone.
The Methodist minister called on all Vincentians to return to their Bible teachings and become prayer warriors.
I'm a family that. So I want to challenge those of you who are here right now. Make it your business to ensure that your family start back to or continue to pray together. Our families need to start back worshiping together. Daddy, don't carry them, don't send them, go with them. The big man's supposed to take the lead. Our families need to be grounded in the word. That's how God designed it. That's why the first thing God gave the family, Adam and Eve, was the word.
In more local news now, we hear that students from 32 schools, 18 primary and 16 secondary, along with 4 persons in the open category, are showcasing their creative ideas which could solve many of the country's problems at this year's National Science and Technology Fair. At the fair mounted at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport compound, several projects are on showcase, highlighting ways to utilize local resources to generate cleaner energy, improve productivity in the agriculture sector, and dealing with some of the impacts of climate change. Coordinator and Education Officer responsible for science, Juanita Hunt King, said the science fair presents an opportunity to harness the unlimited potential of the youth. She said she was impressed by the effort put in by the participants.
Well, the theme for this year's science fair is turning problems into opportunities using scientific strategies. And the general trust with this science fair is to get students to think more optimistically. Not only students, but persons in the society. Everywhere in the world has problems, and there must be solutions. And when we can come up with solutions to local problems on our own, that means that we are making a step in the right direction for the development of our country.
Hunt King said a lot of work was put in to ensure that the students were adequately prepared for the showcase, which led to a number of quality projects.
This year we made a special effort to ensure that the students did improve the quality of their exhibits. We provided them with ample notice about the fair. They had maybe like over a year of notice. They were given the theme way ahead of time. They were given, each school was provided with a science fair handbook, which contains information on just the guidelines of how the fair would be executed. We also gave them some how-to tips, how to choose a project, how to carry out a project, and how to present the project on judging day. So we are confident that we have done a lot of work to improve the quality of the fair, and we're reaping the results right now.
The fair will wrap up tomorrow with a prize-giving ceremony at 10 a.m. and the education officer said the public will have some time to view the projects at the showcase.
I think that we could have a little bit more buy-in from other entities. We have to remember these are the nation's youth. I would like more persons to come out and see what the students are presenting, so that they can also have a listening ear, a voice. They have great ideas and they need to be heard.
The unique ways of recycling waste and how to generate clean energy represent just a few of the ideas which the primary school students have on showcase at the fair.
It's about stop surge and how you can stop the storm surge from flooding the low part of the land.
So what would you do to stop the land? You would put baskets to prevent the water from coming up?
Yes.
So when the water comes forward, it will be broken by the baskets?
Yes.
My project is about reusing conch shells. So I use the conch shell to make conch shell blocks and tiles, and you can make jewelry from them, right? Yes, so you see I made a walk party. You can make a walk part from it and all of that. All the jewelry and stuff.
Alright, so you think reusing the conch shells will help to protect the environment?
Yes, to clean up the beaches, protect our environment in the Grenadines from all the littering with the conch shell, and getting more space for people to swim, relax and other things.
The secondary school students are also showcasing some unique ideas using local resources. Two of their experiments include using sagassum seaweed as a fertilizer and agricultural produce as a dye for fabric.
To the beach, collected the seaweed, dried it for 5 days. Then I collected the cow manure. Then I take some compost. Then I made a mixture of all the different types of fertilizers. As you can see, this cup contains the soil with the compost. This one contains all the nutrients. This one contains only the seaweed with the soil. This one contains the cow manure. This one is just soil only. As you can see, the one that contains the natural fertilizers had grown to be the strongest and the most healthiest because it contains the most nutrients.
My hypothesis was that the antibiotics would have a lesser volume in the balloons, as antibiotics has properties that will kill off bacteria, and bacteria is a microorganism, which is basically a microbe, and that the vinegar would strive because, once again, dishwashing liquid also kills germs, which is another microbe in the soil. But at the end of the 3 days, we noticed that the dishwashing liquid, however, has a greater volume of air inside of the balloons, because as microbial activity occurs, the gases are produced. So the higher the volume of air in each balloon means that the microbial activity, higher percentage of microbial activity throughout. We can then take from this project also that we should be mindful of how we discard all different substances, as it can have a negative effect on the microbes, which are very important microbial activity and growing plants.
4 persons are competing in the open category. Our news team caught up with one of the participants whose display illustrated the incredible power of heat energy. His display was a unique mix of the different forms of matter, as well as a practical presentation on what plasma is and how it can transfer energy. Here's a snippet of his presentation.
Final part of my project is just to illustrate here what I actually have a mechanism to illustrate plasma, and when I release gas into this into the tube and then ignite it, you could actually see the gas turning into a plasma effect. It's just going to take a bit of a while here. Alright, so that light effect that you see is the gas turning into plasma, and then if it enters the tube, alright, so that was just a little mechanism to show you the gas turning into plasma, and as it enters the gas tube, it just and meets air, it gives you a little explosion.